All right, let's get to these younger voters now, because this is interesting. Young voters have been shifting to the right. There's new insight in the Yale University youth poll, voters 18 through 21. And this poll asked who they'd support in the midterms in 26, and the Republican candidate led by a margin of 11.7%. All this on the heels of the presidential election, where we did see younger people voting for Republicans in greater numbers than they have really in decades. So we have a couple of, I guess, young experts to tell us what they think about all of this and where it's all going, as we're joined by the host of the FI Pod on Bulwark, Cameron Kasky, and also the White House correspondent for the Daily Signal, Elizabeth Mitchell. So welcome to both of you. On the tablet here, I just put up a couple of things. So this is just basic stuff, how young people voted in the election. So this is the 18 to 29 group, and obviously 2020 versus what we saw this time in 2024, and then the 51-47 much closer. So Cameron, let me start with you. So this, some Democrats are really concerned about this, and they feel like they got to do something about it. What's your read on it?
I think the Republicans are very excited when people mistrust the government. They're very excited when people are uneducated, and they're excited when people aren't happy with what the government's doing. And the past couple of years have not been very promising to Gen Z. The future ahead of us is not very clear, and things are looking bad. So the right has been able to take that and say, hey, we're going to come in and shake up the system. They come in and dismantle the system and get rid of veterans benefits and cancer research and fire tons of federal workers. But they are promising something different, and young people are not satisfied. So something different sounds good.
Yeah. What's your read, Elizabeth? I'll show one more chart. This is on the tablet as well. It's hard to read, but take my word for it, because I was blown away by some of this. Support for Democrats by age, but especially the gender gap. Like you look in this area. What we saw in the last election, Elizabeth, was that I thought the gender gap was across the board, and it was sort of, but it was much wider in the younger people. So the young men, in other words, are a big problem for Democrats moving more to the right. What's going on, big picture?
Thanks for having me. I think this is a really notable shift that Kamala Harris won young women by 23 points and Trump won young men by 1 point. So there's clearly a huge gap between young men and young women. I see probably two causes for this. One, about 60% of college enrollees now are women, and we know that college campuses have become pretty liberal environments, both with professors and just the overall culture on campus. I also think that Trump did a lot to appeal to young men. He went on these podcasts that are very male dominated, like Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, which really appealed to a lot of young men who maybe have felt left behind, underrepresented in the past by Democrats, who maybe have in some cases made them feel like they're toxic for them to be masculine, or like they're oppressive to women, need to be sidelined so that women can lead because of that sort of thing.
All right. So if you're the Democrats, then you got to say, how do you stop the bleeding, Cameron, or how you get these people back, right? So earlier in the show, I was joking, I was asking an old guy, but anyway, Chris Hahn used to work for like Chuck Schumer and stuff. He's a contributor with us here, and he's been around the Democratic Party for years. I was asking about this whole thing that you probably know about. David Hogg has been pushing to kind of take down the old guard within the party, going after the old school Democrats. And here's part of what Chris said.
I understand where David Hogg is coming from. At the end of the day, in November of 2026, this party is going to be united in its message in putting a check on Donald Trump. David Hogg going after old school Democrats who he determines is ineffective might be a fool's errand for him in most cases.
What do you think about that, Cameron? Just where the party's going, is going to be united, or is it the kind of this new school AOC and company taking down the old guard?
Well, first of all, I don't know why he was yelling. He was really loud over there. It's fine. We're just talking on the news. I would say that, look, I am not aware of David's PAC's plans, right? Leaders We Deserve. I don't know exactly what they're doing with the money, but $20 million is a lot of money for an unproven entity to be spending. That's a lot of money to be moving. So look, I am all about getting rid of the Congress people who have been around for a trillion years. There are people who are way too old to be making laws in both parties, by the way. The Republicans will never tackle this issue. And that's something I think it's important to highlight, is that while the Republicans are talking about how Sleepy Joe is too old to be president, which, by the way, I fully agree with, there are there are dinosaurs in the Republican Party that
Right.
since
But they'll have Vance will probably be their nominee next time. He'll be like in his early 40s at the time. So, Cameron, who do you think the Democratic nominee is next time? Is it really going to be someone like AOC?
Well, AOC right now is acting like a leader. So is Van Hollen. And there are leaders who are standing up. And the Democratic Party has to decide, are we going to act like this system has worked for everybody? Are we going to do the thing that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden did, which is say, hey, everybody, the status quo is actually good. And as long as it's Democrats, things are going to be fine. Or is someone like AOC going to come in and say, this is not working and we need to change it up?
Got to run here. Elizabeth, a quick final thought on that. Do you think conservatives would actually root for someone like that or be kind of afraid of it?
I think Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez being the face of the Democratic Party is actually a huge win for Republicans, because I think what we saw in November is that the very far left turn of the Democratic Party really hasn't resonated with the voters. And so if Democrats want to succeed in another election, they'd be best moving more to the center instead of even further left, which is where AOC will take them.
Yeah, ideology versus age. And anyway, let's continue this. This is good, guys. I do have to run, though, for time. Cameron and Elizabeth, we thank you both. And we're going to have more coming.